Buildings are some of the oldest in Buffalo. In fact, they are the oldest in Buffalo. They date back to 1850 and late 1860s, respectively. They were a brass foundry for many years, and for over 5 decades, they were a blacksmith shop, the last blacksmith shop in the city of Buffalo from that old era. They're really the last old era buildings of Buffalo from the Erie Canal days of the Buffalo waterfront. So there's a lot of historic value to these buildings, which is why preservation advocates want to try and save them. The building owner, Darryl Carr, has been adamant that he has wanted to tear them down. He purchased these buildings in 2008, and ever since then they've been in housing court for violations. And back in 2022, the city of Buffalo, Claudine, initiated eminent domain proceedings.
Nate, I know that you also spoke with the building owner, as you just mentioned a few minutes ago, as well as the councilman for that district. Who are they blaming here?
Yeah, Claudine, Darryl Carr, the building owner, and Councilman Mitch Nowakowski are blaming each other. Councilman Nowakowski was the advocate on the city council trying to push for that eminent domain proceeding. Those proceedings started all the way back in September of 2022. Nowakowski again pushed for that. He says these buildings need to be saved. Darryl Carr wanted to redevelop them. He had this grand plan for a 55-story tower that had over 500 private apartment condo buildings. Retail space certainly would rival other buildings in nearby cities like Toronto. So certainly there was a clashing of ideas of what should be done with these buildings. Again, Carr purchased the buildings in 2008, and ever since he purchased them, he wanted to tear them down. But again, in May of 2023, when that eminent domain proceeding moved forward, nothing could be done. Carr was granted a demolition order by the city of Buffalo, but once that eminent domain proceeding went into effect, that could not happen, and they've lingered even longer up until, as we can see behind me right now, the fire from yesterday.
Nate, that makes me wonder also, when we're talking about a building that's been so badly burned, eminent domain, does it even matter? Will that battle continue?
Yeah, I'm told that battle will continue, which is one of the reasons why the city of Buffalo is working on emergency stabilization, because this building is tied up in litigation right now because of that eminent domain. It cannot be torn down, so Darryl Carr cannot tear it down with his own personal crews, and the city is simply waiting to find out what a judge rules. We're told that a ruling could happen as soon as this week or next week, and of course, it's certainly a coincidence that this happened right as a ruling was coming down. Again, this was a very long process. Nowakowski first initiated that process back in September of 2022, and here we are almost 2 full years later, and obviously dealing with a completely different situation now with a burned out building. But I'm told that it can possibly still be saved. I spoke to the Preservation Board Chair Gwen Howard a short time ago. She said there is precedent for buildings to have the exterior walls that are original, but the insides are renovated. The Market Arcade is a recent example of a building that had facade work that was still original, but was completely redeveloped inside. So certainly preservation groups, I just received a update from Preservation Buffalo Niagara. They are excited rather, that the city is working on that emergency stabilization versus a emergency demolition. So certainly, whenever that ruling does come down for the eminent domain proceeding, obviously that will then affect what happens with these properties. So either Darryl Carr will remain the owner, or the city of Buffalo will become the owner.